Right, watch out, welcome back. Now the changing of the Tech Tracker exhaust wasn't just for a whimsical upgrade, it was for preparation of the bike for a shorter rider. Let's see what we're doing. Welcome back. Okay, so what this little project is about is lowering the Scrambler, slamming it about 2–2.5 inches for Madam Pit Stop so she can ride it, have some fun on it, rather than just me. And that is really all it is for at the moment. The other side of it is that Tech have upgraded the rear shocks and they've got now a damping adjustable version, so we've invested a little bit in some of them for her to make the suspension slightly softer so it's more adjustable. And also we're going to put some progressive springs in the front because the Scrambler comes with linear wound springs and we want to put some progressives in there to make it a little bit smoother on the road. And that's a very simple task, so we've got to change out the front fork springs first. Let's get stuck in. Easiest way to change your fork springs on these, get the bike supported from underneath because you want to be able to take the fork caps off without any pressure on them. So lifting the front wheel off the ground or at least extending it to full with a lift or something underneath. That's the trick. Okay, with the bike supported, all you're going to do,
like that?
Yeah, just put it on a block underneath and lift it up. Lift it up enough to take the weight off the forks, so the forks extended as much as possible. And then with I think they're all the same, 22mm socket on top. Don't use a spanner. Don't use a spanner. The reason is that the socket, you can put your hand on it like that and you can support that because it's going to come free with a bit of a twang when it's ready. So get your cranium out of the way because a fork cap in your teeth is not very cool. That tastes very nice. And once that's free, I'll show you what's inside. There you go, pop. Now, Triumph, I must admit, above and beyond any other manufacturer, use the most common sense method of constructing a hydraulic fork I've ever seen. Now this inside here is a spacer tube. It's the first component you come to when you take the cap off. And that's a master stroke if you ask me, because if you want to lower the bike or jack the bike up, you just change the length of that tube. There's a spring down there, I'll show you in a minute. That's very simple. I've done this video a few times. If you want to jack the bike up, put a slightly longer one in. If you want to go off-road, beating it over fields and stuff and it's just bottoming out, stick an inch longer tube in, which is what that is. This is a 230mm tube from the factory. That's 250mm long. I'll show you the shortened one in a minute. And the standard ones, you can chop them down, little piece of tubing, and simple. I bought that from a steel stock holder for £5 for both sides, like a 2-foot length. I chopped it in half, milled the end off so it's nice and machined in round, and machined it. Machined it. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Right. So once that's out, that's the tube. I'll come back to that in a sec. Get yourself a length of coat hanger. This is how you take the inside of them out, and just put a little hooksy on the end like that. And down inside, first of all, hook hold of the spring, and you'll come to a washer. Come on, baby. I'll go back and get it again, shall I? Don't drop your coat hanger right down because it'll go way into the bottom. That's not cool because you've got to go down there and find it then. And the first thing you come to, there you go, is a washer. So take that out of the way. And then there's your spring. Okay. That unhooked. Right, so the spring on these is a linear wound spring, which simply means linear, Google it, line, it's a straight wound spring, which means every coil is the same distance apart. That's a linear wound spring. What I'm changing these for, because Madam Pit Stop wants a comfortable ride on the bike, is these. We got from Tech, our good mates at Tech Bike Parts. These are progressively wound, and there's the difference. When you look at them side by side, they're the same length. The progressively wound one gets, as it says in the name, progressively coiled tighter towards the top rather than this. That means there's more coils involved. Now, there's a lot of scientists and knowers out there that will tell me the spring dynamics of how many coils makes them softer or harder, but let's not get it too complicated, folks. Quite simply, that's a hard spring all the way down. That's the same pressure. This one, on the other hand, down here is a slightly softer because they're actually, even the wider part of the bottom is more tightly coiled. So that's a softer spring at the bottom, but the top part is super soft. You can push that in with your thumb. And what that means is that that part of the top collapses first, and these coils go shoulder to shoulder and become a solid block. Then, only after that has happened, does the rest of the spring get to do any work. It means that the spring is soft and gets progressively harder as time goes on. Take a look at the rear shocks. They do the same thing down here. The top coils are wound together tight. As it goes further down, they're wider apart, and it simply means that these are softer. The closer you wind the coils together, the softer the spring will be. The further apart, the harder they'll be, because there's less metal. And if you take a piece of rod, you try and bend a long piece, there's lots of leverage. Try and bend a short piece, there isn't, even if it's the same thickness. Think about it. It's boring science, so I'll leave it there. That is a softer, more comfortable spring. How much are they paying?
49.
£49 from Tech Bike Parts, and they do make a difference, believe me, especially if you're out there scratching and you ride like she does. Right, all you got to do with that is drop it in. Tight coils to the top, okay, because quite simply the weight from any, obviously with the laws of gravity, the weight comes down from the top, so simply you want that to do the work first. If that's at the bottom, then it has to push the whole spring down, up and down, before it's pushing that. So it's far better to have that at the top like the rear shocks. So drop that in first, down into the oil, then a washer goes in on top. Just take a little squint, yeah, that's found its level. Now what I'm going to do as well, I took the spring out this time, and I've taken these springs out a dozen times, and each time, as you saw at the beginning, kind of a lick of oil comes with the spring. So what I'm going to do with this, because I've taken these springs in and out about 10 times, I'm just going to add a little dash, and I mean just a splash of oil, just to top up what's come out. Yeah, that's it, nothing much, literally like a capful, just to return the oil that I've taken out, and I'm using a 10 weight light or medium thick oil, don't need any more. Okay, the next thing's the lowering issue. Now, this, I've been riding this, and I'm tall, lanky, I like it quite tall, high in the air. So the standard 230mm tube, just have to remember, I cut it down to 220, that's a 220mm tube, took 10mm off it to make it a little bit lower. That's 250, I wanted to bang the front right up for me, and that is what I wanted, and that's fine, but Penny's going to ride it, so I'm putting a short tube in. So what we're doing is, we're slamming the front by approximately that much from where it was. It was jacked up above standard, so we're going back to standard, which was halfway, and an inch lower. So that's how you lower the front of your Scrambler Bonneville Thruxton, by putting a different tube in, an inch lower. And for spec, if you're interested, that's a 34mm outside diameter tube. Get it from the exhaust place, if you like that piece of exhaust tube, if you look at it. It's only 1mm thick. I used that, which was scaffolding type tube, 3mm thick. It don't matter, it makes no difference. And then that goes. Now, as that's gone in, there's nothing goes on top of it. There's no washer supplied. You've got a nice flat face on there. And your cap goes back on. As that's lower now inside there, that cap will go straight on without any pressure. And we'll do police helicopter outside. They come through, Pen.
Oh God!
Slap that in there.
As the door opens, the police walk in.
Right, here we go. And just nip that up to the required torque setting, which you could look up in your book. Okay, so a little bit more of an upgrade this time. The shocks that we put on this before were for the Scrambler, standard Scrambler shocks. Now Tech do a range of different rear shocks. This is their standard full length shock, non-adjustable, and they do a adjustable version, which we've now got for Penny, and also there are two lengths of shock. You've got the Thruxton and Scrambler length, which is this size, and there's the shorter version for the SE. Now, as Penny's had the SE, we know that these are available. These are the shorter version. You can physically see that they're shorter in the spring length itself. And also they come in 2 spring strengths. That's the heavy duty spring, as there's not much movement. Or if you want a lightweight spring, if you're never going to take a pill in, you can get that too, all on request. This is the longer one. You can just physically see it's longer. And this has been on there since I fitted it almost a year ago. But what we're going to do with these is upgrade to go really with the fork springs as well. There's not much point in doing one end. So we've got, these are from Tech as well. And as you can see, they're the shorter, much shorter spring for the Bonneville SC, but these come now with an adjustable damping. This wasn't available when we bought these, so we just decided to upgrade to these. They're still not expensive, £129. Now, I've said this before, these are not just cheap, hang on, let's word it right, these are not just good for the money. these are good if they were twice the price. They really are. A pair of Olin shocks might be beautiful, they might be exotic, but they're 500 odd pounds or more, and the bike will never exploit them, nor will you on a bike like this, or a Bonneville or a Thruxton. You just won't. It just hasn't got the cycle parts, it hasn't got the frame strength and rigidity, it hasn't got the angle, it certainly hasn't got the power. So these are perfectly suited. I've said this so many times, like everything else that we're fitting on here, it's perfectly suited to the standard of the bike's performance. They really are, and for £129, I think they're a bargain. I really do. It's the same thing, same old with tech stuff. You get stuff that's not only good, it's cheap as well. Now they come with this rather amazing little option on the rear. You see in the rear here, you can unscrew this bottom collet here. It's got a shouldered section there. You can unscrew the bottom rose joint, and you can screw that section in and then extend them by 1 inch, which that's what I've done here. So if I ever want to take this down by just 1 inch, I just take that section out and do them back up. Again, try that with Olin's. Try that with any other shock. An adjustable slug, and that's machined from T6 billet, so it's a good strong part. You don't need to Loctite them in because the weight's on them all the time. So let's get these banged on. Ever so easy to fit. I'm going to put them on. Do you want them that length or do you want a bit long? Because the ones, this is the one we've got. Here you go. All this is, you see there, it's an upgraded version of that shock, and we're going to have it, I think, like that without it, without the extra piece in. But we've got this, and this section here is a ring which, through a series of clicks in the normal way, adjusts the rear suspension damping. So these are now damping adjusters. They're still available. You can still get the non-adjustable ones at £89. These are £129. They're a little bit more money, but for adjustable damping, I think you're getting into something that, to be quite honest, should be twice the price. They really should. They come with, as ever with tech stuff, full set of instructions. You can read them. Anybody can fit them. But irrespective of that, I'll show you here. There we go. Keep a bolt out, and once that's out of the way, you can then just wriggle the shock off, free of the bike. And being very careful, what I'm going to do, shall be brand new stainless steel shiny exhaust. Got a bit of cloth there like that. Just use your common sense. Relic of working on customers' bikes. Don't scratch it, Jack. There we are. Now, as you notice, the bike hasn't fallen in a heap for two reasons. One, I've got it jacked up from underneath on a neutral level. What that means is, as you can see there, the back wheel's not off the ground, but it's not on the ground as such either. If it was off the ground completely, then that's pulling on that. So use your common sense, jack it up. If you haven't got one of these, a trolley jack will do the job. Use a mate. Side stand, if you haven't got a lift, side stand over that way. Trolley jack underneath, support something on the trolley jack like a cloth or a rag around the frame so you don't scratch it. Jack it up over against your side stand, that works just as well. Put those on there. Now I can't put that on the bottom because obviously the other one's still connected, so we'll just pop it on the top. You might remember when we did this video before, you have to put all the collets and bushes in the top yourself, you had to adapt them all, not anymore. Tech send these out, ready to bang straight on the bike. I'll show you exactly how easy that is. Right, I'm going to put that half on because what I don't want to do is bend it out to get it round that in a minute. I'm just going to leave that half on there. There we are. Leave that cloth in place. Protect the exhaust. Go on the other side. Take the other one off. Now these shocks, the old ones, when I put the previous ones on, I said that they need to be kind of bounced up and down to put them in place to take all the air out if there's been any air bubbles in the damping system due to the fact that they've been laid down packed. Spoke to George at Tech and he said it's not necessary, just fit them, get on with it. I like George, he thinks like me. Okay. So you see that at the bottom, here we are, there's a perfect example. That's all you do if you want to make them longer. You put that extension slug in, then you screw that into it. It is that easy. What we're going to do with that. Right, that lock nut down as far as it will go. In as far as it goes, and then line them up. And there we are. That easy to put on. Now, a little thing, I'll show you. Hang on. If this helps you, I do like the end of the old hickory. So if you're going to fit anything like this, it's quite easy. Just use the end of a hammer handle. Don't ever hit it with the metal, because metal to metal, that yields, that's hard. So effectively you're going to dent it. Like your bench. Monkey boy. Use the end of the handle.
That's to wake me up, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Wake up.
Paying attention? Wake up, camera girl. Just use the end of that, and obviously that yields and takes any of the damage. Okay, now you can see now, look how far away from there. That's the amount that we're going to jack the bike down by. That's how much lower this bike's going to be. And we'll just go around the other side, let the jack down slowly. Now, one of the reasons I love my table jack is it's a screw adjustment, and I can adjust that down by hand like that, rather than a hydraulic jack with the whole letting it down, which is okay, but it's inaccurate. This you can do like that, almost screwing it down. And come on down, as they say.
It's a game show.
Down until get the top one more or less all the way on. Come on down. How low is that?
That is low.
Until that will be moving like that. That will move. But screw it in as far as it there. I'm just going to come out one on that. Don't believe in having it on its stop. And I'm going to take these lock nuts and just nip them up in a minute. So keep coming down until that's in line. The ratchet go. Right, here we go. Right, there we go. That's more or less lined up. So now I just come off with that. Bring it outside. Until that's, you can look through the hole and see it. Tiny little adjustment, there it is. All right. Lovely. And the top one. That's it. Do the other side. Okay, these bolts do hold your shocks on. So common sense, boys. Bit of Loctite. And they are 28 foot-pound or just under 40 Newton meters. Put them in with the Loctite wet. All right. You'll find that they'll go tight because these, what you call it, these rose joints, these bushes at the bottom, they're a little bit wider by about 3 mil than the factory ones. So they hang off the end of this peg just a little bit, but that's not enough to cause any issues whatsoever. Just going to wind that in, one click. A little bit of weight to it. There it is. And that's exactly what it was before, because we're fitting the same shocks. You don't want to drown it in Loctite, just a little bit like that. I'm using a blue temporary Loctite, not obviously the red badass stuff that will cause you problems getting it off. Little thread lock in there, stops them coming undone. And it is a suspension component, so you should always have a little bit of Loctite on your suspension components to hold them in place. Just wind in. Remember, these are just a cap. Check that again. They're just a cap that holds them in place. It always feels a little bit like that's quite forcing on there, but it's drawing that on. And when it's had enough, it'll click. There we are. That's it. All those little dabs of marker paint at the back at the top of this should be. Now, that's at the absolute lowest that they can possibly be. Seat height now is down around 26 inches. It really is. So if you're a shorter rider, we know a guy in the States, one of our mates, he's got a shorter inseam and his Triumph has had to be lowered. This is a great piece of kit. Honestly, buy them, fit them on your bike, no issues. The same as that tube in there. Cut the tube down. Harleys, you can kind of do the same thing, but there isn't much else in other bikes that you can to lower it so easily and so cheaply. 130 quid. Right. So what we're going to do with this is just going to put, you get one of these Euro C-spanners to adjust these collars, and all I want to do with it is just come off the stops at the bottom. I don't believe in having anything on its maximum or minimum. So just come off the stops underneath, like that. Give yourself about half a thread showing, just in there, so that the spring is not resting on this casting at the top of the body. The spring should be resting on this collar because it's got sort of 10 threads or so in there that are resting on a very high quality piece of billet underneath there, this piece of billet steel, whereas this casting is not the place to rest it. So just get them off the casting at the top so they sit there, and then we'll see where we are with height. Don't forget these little knock nuts at the bottom. We put that as far in as we can. Don't have any thread hanging out. That's not the correct way to do it. If you need it longer, quite simply put the extra slug in that I showed you, and then use these springs at the top to make them a bit longer by preloading the spring. Right, the damping adjust. This is a unique thing to these shocks, and what I've always said is wind them, all suspension, when you set it up, should be set in the middle. Same as your factory suspension is. So if there's 10 clicks, you set it on 5. If there's 50, you set it on 25. You know how it works. So all we do with it, don't know these, never seen these shocks before, never had them. So quite simply, you're on right at one end, count the clicks, and there are 16 clicks of what I felt when I just did the other one. So come all the way to one end, and then count back 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. Okay, that's set the damping right in the middle. Quite simple, easy that way, isn't it? And if you find them a little bit slushy, click them up a couple, keep them even both sides. If you find they're a little bit stiff, click them back a couple. Really easy, isn't it? Okay, what do you reckon? Happy?
That's low.
It's low, and it's not even off the jack yet. Okay, let's get it out. Right, there we go. Mission accomplished on lowering this. The Scrambler was about an inch higher than the Bonneville to start with. It's now 2 inches lower than it was, so it's an inch lower than a Bonneville, which is what her Bonneville SE was. So now we've done the job. The TechBite Parts shocks, you can buy the Bonneville SE shocks, the shorter version. Check out the website at techbiteparts.com. They've got 2 lengths of shock, and we've put the shorter one on this so that she's got that adjustability, and that adjustable damping makes it a little bit better. Set it in the middle, like I said earlier, and you can sort them out later on how you want them exactly. The front, as you saw, extremely easy. You don't have to spend the £50 on the linear wound springs. They are an excellent investment. They will make a great difference to the smoothness of the ride. However, they're not necessary for lowering. You can just cut that piece of tubing down accordingly, and if you then want to put it back to standard, the local exhaust fit in place 34mm wall tubing, buy 3 feet of it and do whatever you like. It's extremely easy, almost free. As far as it's concerned, the stand, as you saw, I had to put it on a curb because the stand at the moment is a bit long. I'm going to change it, put the Bonneville stand on the Scrambler. It fits straight on and it will lean at the correct angle then. If you want to shorten the existing stand, you can do that. You don't cut it in its length, you don't adjust the notch. I've seen people grind away the lock stop. You can do that so it sits further forward. Don't really like that because the spring goes all slack then, but the best way to do it is get a disc and cut the foot off right at the bottom, take another inch out, then weld the foot back on further up. But that's a permanent change. Honestly, go on eBay, find yourself a Bonneville side stand. They're so cheap, £25 or something for, you know, a virtually unused one, and bolt them straight on. Then you have that interchangeability should you jack the thing back up. Okay? Anything else, Ben? Fancy a ride?
I'll try it out now.
Can't ride, go and try it out. Okay, we may possibly in the future put smooth tyres on it, but right now it looks so leery, so outrageous on the big knobblies and slammed right down low. Just a little bit of experiment for the rest of the summer, see if you like it. And if you like it, you can have it. What do you reckon?
Cool.
Cool. Take it easy, ride safe. Thanks for watching.